There we go. Hey QED coders, now that I've selected the right input device, welcome to another Immutable Book Club. I am Michael L. Perry, and we are soon to be joined by the regulars to the Immutable Book Club, most notably Jan. So when he joins, we can continue our discussion on the art of immutable architecture. There have been a few other folks that have expressed interest in joining, so hopefully we will get a little bit of discussion going around with some new, brand new readers. That would be awesome. In the meantime, I'm playing around with a new toy here. So I have a little whiteboard that I can play around with, and I can create some historical models here. So we've got our user, and we've got a list. So a user is going to be invited to a list. So there's our invitation. A little bit hard to reach up there. Let's see. So if you haven't seen John Saville's YouTube videos, he does this in real life. He's got a Surface hub that he does all of his whiteboarding on. Pretty cool stuff. If you want to learn anything about Azure, networking, Kubernetes, you name it, he's got an awesome channel for that. So what we could do is we could have the list. Whoa. List. Interesting. I'm going to have to watch my extra touches on that. Okay, so list created by user. Yeah, that's a little bit more difficult to read than the usual GraphViz way of doing it. So, we shall see. And it's also harder to make these kind of changes, where it's like, okay, the user is up here, the list belongs to the user, and then we've got an invitation. So the creator can invite a different user to join the list. And then you can add items to the list. So item on the list. So this is a very simple model for a collaborative to-do list application. And so I'm building this application right now for an upcoming user group. Not user group, conference talk. So this is going to be for JavaScript and Friends, coming up in just a few weeks. And it looks like Jan is joining in. How do you do, Jan?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything all right?
Yep. Just playing around with a new toy. I'll share here and see if this works out. So yeah, I've hooked up my tablet as an external device. So I've got a video capture card bringing the tablet in, and so now I can whiteboard and share with everybody. It's not as easy to read as GraphViz, so I'm not sure how much I'll be using this.
You're really using a tablet like an iPad, or?
Yeah, this is a
drawing tablet.
It's a Surface Pro.
Okay.
Yep. So
you're more advanced than I am.
Well, this actually used to be my primary machine, believe it or not. I did all of my coding on the Surface Pro. That was about 3 or 4 years ago, And
Okay.
so yeah, since then it's basically been my side table machine for a while. Just pick it up to to read and to scroll. And then I was like, you know what? I've got a video capture device. Let me just plug this in and see if this works. So there we go.
Yeah. Um,
But
yeah, but actually,
mm-hmm.
no, you cannot, because I know that, for example, with Zoom people are installing Zoom on an iPad, and then you can bring it into the session, or you can connect it directly to Zoom. But I'm not sure how it works with Discord.
Yeah, I might actually be able to. I do have Discord running on this device because I'll use this on the side table to say, hey, who's talking to me online. So yeah, I might actually be able to join with the device and turn that into a screen share. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might even be a better quality than.
Yeah.
Because now it's a video capture device that just captures the video output.
Right. Yep. And then I've got it loaded up in the camera app on the desktop machine. And then I'm screen sharing the camera app. So yeah, it's mini hops.
Yeah, it should work in both directions. Now and then is there a way to make it so that I can also draw? Because for example, with Zoom, you have a whiteboard, and all the participants can draw on the whiteboard. If you use the built-in whiteboard. If you would use this whiteboard from Microsoft, actually I didn't try that.
Yeah, I know that there's a whiteboard built into Teams. I think we tried that real quickly on my team, and we're like, because most people are drawing with a mouse, and it's like this really only works if there's if everyone's using a pen. So I don't know. I don't think we've truly solved the problem yet.
No, I don't have an iPad, but I have such a passive with a pen, but so you don't see the screen behind it. From what is it, from XPen? XP Pen is the brand.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So it's a drawing tablet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for Zoom to explain things, it works much better than with a mouse. But I think it would be interesting to draw models. But if you share a screen in Discord, no, you cannot participate.
No, Discord doesn't have that feature, but yeah, if we used an extra whiteboard application, and then we could all collaborate on the whiteboard.
In this whiteboard from Microsoft that you had just now, I'm just opening it here. I didn't try it out, but there was a way to invite others. Where was it? Yeah. Wait, let me share you. Share. That's the whiteboard. Go live. Do you see that screen?
Yeah, I forgot I have to click on the button. Yep, there it comes.
Yeah. You see my mouse or not?
Yes, I do. Well, I see the red dot. I think that's your mouse.
Yeah. Well, if you click here, invite someone.
Ah, yes.
I think you can invite somebody. Now, I don't know how it works. I never tried it out. Text mode. Wait, create a sharing link. Web sharing link off. Create a link to share. Turn on a web sharing link to create a URL that points, which can be shared.
Yeah, so I turned that on, and it did generate a link for me. Yep.
Oh. Wait. If I link copied, if I send you that link, but wait, then I have to go to the. How can I send you the link? No, it's not that one. Then I have to. Oh, it's that pop out. Yes, like that, and then I can see.
We're living in the future.
Somewhere I could send you a message. But now not anymore. Yeah, message. That should be the link. Yeah, I send it to you as a private link, Michael.
And I'm opening it. And we couldn't open this whiteboard.
You could not open it?
Nope. It said that there was a problem. Contact the person that sent it to you. Yeah, it's interesting. So it's got a big old base64 encoded string at the end. You can see because of the equals.
Yeah. View list. Yeah. So there should be participants.
Okay, and I'll try in the opposite direction real quick. So there's a link that I generated.
Okay. If I click on that one, this link will take you.
Yeah, that's what I'm
seeing.
seeing
You don't have access to this whiteboard. You do not have permission to join this board.
Well,
only users within the organization can.
Oh, okay. That must be what's going on. I'm logged in.
Yeah.
Using.
Apparently.
Okay, so I have to get logged in with a different account. Well,
did we lose?
This is my public account.
Oh no. How come I don't see any video anymore?
Oh, are you still hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But what do they mean within the same organization?
Yeah, I'm signed in using my just my public Microsoft account. I'm not signed in using my corporate account.
I think I'm not signed in at all. Yeah. No, it's probably automatic using my Office 365 subscription. So yes, and I should be. Yeah. We'll have to check it one day how this works, because it looks quite nice, and if we could make this work, that would be interesting, I think. Okay, get that thing off.
Yeah, so problem not entirely solved yet.
Right.
But hey, we can build one. We have the technology.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. Just stop everything. Let's build a whiteboard app.
Yeah, that's that's a possibility. Right, let me open something here. No, I have to. Why is that not opening the way I want it? I saw that you have 2 talks coming up.
Yes. So I've got JavaScript and Friends. So that is a talk about Janaga and putting together a demo for that. And then this architecture and containers conference. So the organizer of the conference had just finished reading the book, and he actually was having a discussion with his team about using state machines in order to solve distributed systems problems. And he's saying, wait a minute, state machines are not going to to help us solve the problem. And then he was able to get some some support from the book and say, this is what we need to do instead. And so they went with a design closer to using an immutable workflow. And so he reached out and said, thank you for that, and I'm organizing this conference. Would you like to be the keynote speaker? I said, that would be awesome.
Okay. Okay. That's the 17th of May, I think. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So I was kind of going through my material, saying what would be fitting to kind of close out a day about containers and architecture, and and realized that the material that I've prepared is really geared toward application development, and not really so much focused on containers and on Kubernetes, but yet that's really what that plays right into the ultimate vision of the decision substrate. And so, okay, I need to reframe the conversation and have a decision substrate talk. So came up with the idea of kind of focusing on the idea of using a sidecar that is that's participating in an immutable decision substrate right next to an application that's written using immutable database and REST APIs and the way that we will typically write an application, but with them sitting right next to each other in two containers within the same pod. Then the some of the topology problems disappear because you know that it's right there next to you. The communication is more reliable. Still not perfectly reliable, but then you can take some of the patterns that I talk about for translating between static and immutable applications, and now apply those within the sidecar. So yeah, it's basically a conversation about, okay, you've just learned how to scale Kubernetes and deploy your apps. Now, how do you re-architect your apps so that they can participate in this eventually consistent ecosystem? Well, you don't want to just re-architect all your apps. So instead, let's use sidecars in order to integrate them.
So it's another application of immutability.
Yes. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. I originally started thinking about that application as we were talking about integrating our various internal applications at work. So at my consulting company, Improving, I run one of our programs, which is the internal training program called Improving You. But there's also an involvement program that keeps track of all your activities to see how well you're involved within the community, within networks, and kind of encourage people to get involved. And then there's the career path that is all about your communication with your manager and growing in your career. And so various different programs that all kind of feed one another. So if you take a course in Improving You, then you get to count that in involvement, and courses are part of your career path. And so people are constantly moving data from one to the other, and we need some kind of backbone to integrate all these things. And so one was written in Node, another one was written in .NET Core, another one is using MongoDB, and that one's is using Cosmos, and so it's just like all over the place. So how do you integrate applications without having to completely rewrite them and come up with like, okay, now everybody must rewrite in Janaga. No, that's not going to work. So this was a strategy that I came up with for attacking that problem. And so far, of course, the cobbler's children have no shoes, right? So we haven't had the time to work on our own internal software to actually make this come to fruition, but the idea is still sound, and so I want to explore it with these folks.
Looking forward to that talk.
Mm-hmm.
Now the 17th, I will not be at home. I will be my daughter's student place. She has some exams to pass at that moment. So she asked me to be there to support her.
Cool.
So I might have to hide. I cannot make any noise. But worst case, I go and sit in the car with a laptop.
Yeah.
I will make sure I can follow it.
Yeah, it's an all-day conference, free to register, and it's based out of Poland, so the the time zone will be much closer to your day.
I think it's exactly the same time zone as
okay. Yeah, so you're at UTC +1 or +2. Sorry, they're at +2.
Now it's +2. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so you will have a late day that day.
Yeah, I'm going to be closing out the conference, so it'll be morning for me. So so yeah, we talked about, hey, do you want opening or closing? I was like, well, I'll take closing. I don't want to be up at 3 a.m. And I know people who have done that, and they're crazy.
No, that's nice. Last week we spoke a little bit about documentation because I was going back through these Groundhog videos, which was going a lot smoother.
Yeah,
until
I
got stuck again. But that's not a problem. Wait, let me take it here. But one of the things, let's wait on this screen, but I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller before I share it. Oh, the characters are quite small. I hope you will be able to see it. Share, and then this one go live. Wait, if I make this one smaller and then make it a little bit smaller in that size. Come on. This one, just close it. And this one too. Is it? No, it's not.
No, not readable? Quite. No. No, I think you're going to have to zoom in a bit more.
It's just. How can I zoom with this thing?
One more time, it should be good.
Because it's a tool that I have a long time on my computer.
There we go.
But I'm not used to work with it. It's Wyatt. It's a free drawing package for diagrams. Actually, it's quite nice to draw things. Now, my problem I was having with that Groundhog 1, and I saw during your explanation, from time to time you also think, oh, I have to use Webpack. No, I'm on the server side. No, I don't. And well, that, but 100 times worse. That's my problem. To have the overview. So I just, while I was going through it, I made a little diagram. But so here, you don't see my cursor.
No, unfortunately I don't.
How can I make?
Let's see, you've got you've got a script that does three things. So it does the TypeScript build,
So
and then Webpack, and then copies.
Actually, here on top, wait, this one, this one here. So that's my package.json. Then here I have my Webpack config.
Yes.
Oh, he goes to package, no, Webpack config. And then here below I have my source folder. Yeah, with inside a server folder on the left and a client folder on the right.
Yes.
And then below here you have the dist folder.
Right.
Actually, yellow blocks below, it doesn't really matter. And so what I tried to do was have the link between all of them. So if I go back to that package.json, so I have the three scripts there: the cleaning, the building, and the start script. And then you see, okay, the clean script. I use this rimraf package because
you're using Windows, and
the RD command works on Linux but not on Windows.
Yep.
So I used another package for that. But then the build script uses the TypeScript compiler, uses Webpack, and uses CPR, and another package to replace the copy R command, which is also not working on Windows. But so the tsconfig on the server goes to the tsconfig here. Oh yeah,
I can see the tooltip, so that's helping.
Okay, so the tsconfig from the server, then Webpack here goes to this one. Yeah, on the right.
Yeah, it runs the Webpack config.
Yeah, and there you see the different parts of that file. So the entry, which points to the main here. Oh, it doesn't flash. Which goes down to the main.
Down.
Yeah. Then the one that points to the loader here in the middle, that goes to the tsconfig .json file. And then you have the output. The output that goes to the bundle file below, with then the links from the main.ts here, which says compiles to the bundle.
Right.
And then you have the views, the index.html, which copies to the views, and so on. It's a little bit. It's not into proportion to show it here.
But all that makes
that's
sense.
something that while I'm going through the video and going through the GitHub repository, it helps me a lot to know where I am in the package. So I was wondering, would that not be something, if we clean it up, that could be useful to be put into the documentation as well?
Yeah, I think so. As I'm thinking about like the things that I'm running right now are the steps. I'm also thinking about the plans, and so the plan is like okay, you've gotten a certain opinion. You're going to be using Webpack and React and TypeScript, and so you're going to be following these particular steps, and you can ignore all those other steps. And so if that plan was also accompanied by a diagram that shows, and this is what you're going to end up with, then maybe there's some way that that we could highlight within the step, in the part of the plan that you're in. I haven't quite figured out yet the interaction between plans and steps. I want it to be more than just a link, because as soon as you link to the step, you've lost context. You don't know where you are in the plan anymore. So it would be nice to have something that's kind of hanging out on the side that says this is the plan that you're following, and then maybe it's got this diagram within there, and then it's showing you're on this particular step.
What we could do there, look, if you here you have the whole plan.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you are here, I can point it on my screen, but you cannot see it. That we, for example, that block, put it in a different color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in the beginning of the documentation, the whole diagram, big and readable, and then a miniature copy of it, very small, just an impression where you see all the blocks but nothing more.
Oh yes, yeah.
And when you want to point to it, the block that you're talking about, you just put it in red, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then people can immediately refer to the diagram. Oh, it's about that portion.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that could be helpful. I mean, it's as I'm working through these steps, I was constantly thinking, especially last night as I'm going through all these setup steps, is that I really am looking forward to writing the steps that have something to do with Jinaga, because all of this is about setting up testing in Webpack, and last night I was researching Require.js because I've switched over to Webpack. I've forgotten how to use Require, and I was wondering, is there a modern version of that right now? Is there a modern AMD loader? And it seems like people have tried, but still Require is the one that people talk about. So I was like, okay, I'll have a step for using Require and a step for using Webpack. Yeah.
It makes me very, very happy to hear that, Michael.
I thought this was Jinaga.com. Why am I talking about Require? And But
no.
this, just putting somebody in context where they can become effective within the JavaScript ecosystem, it takes so much knowledge of history and opinion, and ignoring these things and focusing on those things.
No, because up till now, I've been studying a lot and working a lot on everything that is JavaScript, React, TypeScript, Node, which is normal because I'm completely new to it. But I've done very little about Jinaga itself.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit sad. Now, last night I was thinking, should I convince Michael to rewrite Jinaga in .NET? Would that be an easier solution?
At this point, it's not going to be tough to convince me. Yeah, I mean, I do want to support the JavaScript ecosystem. I think that progressive web apps still have a role to play. They're still going to be important. It's just in order to get somebody started, you either just have to assume, okay, you know what you're doing. I'm just going to show you how to use this one little npm package. But yeah, just okay. Now how you integrate it then with other things. This is how you integrate it with Express. What kind of prompted this whole thing was an issue that somebody opened because they were trying to go through the steps. They knew Express, but they missed a step in there, and they started to integrate the client-side library with Express and bring the server-side library into the client, and things just went haywire.
Yeah, I know. I already went a couple of months ago through that Groundhog 1. I got stuck. You guided me through. Everything worked fine. Then I went through it again. This week I think I was about more than half a day. Just it was stuck, and it just gave me error messages. The moment that I imported the Jinaga Jinaga browser from Jinaga.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, I was so desperate. I said, Groundhog or no Groundhog, I'm going to look to your GitHub repository.
Mm-hmm.
But then I discovered that the GitHub repository from the TypeScript starter kit is completely different.
It
So
is,
I
yeah.
went back around the time that you published that Groundhog video in the commits, one of the first commits. And then I started comparing the settings from the TypeScript config, the TS config. And it was due to two settings, an alias, which I didn't use, and another setting, was it note resolution, something similar, which from what I found on internet was default set to note.
Mm.
And I just put it and I commented it out. And it should have been set to note, and then it worked. So apparently the default was classic.
Interesting.
But
maybe that changed in Webpack. What are we on now? 6? 5?
5, I
yeah,
think, but I'm still using.
Yeah, and we're still using
4.
Yeah.
Because that was another problem. So I used TypeScript 9, and that is having troubles with Webpack 4.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried that upgrade
And then I tried using Webpack 5, and then I got other errors, but that might have been related with the error after that. So I'm gonna try that again. So then I downgraded to Webpack 4 with TypeScript 8, and it's just a big mess.
Yeah,
but then I saw that in your GitHub, Webpack, you are using a version 4.
Yes.
But the command line interface, you are using a version 3.
I don't think that was deliberate.
So then I started thinking, is there a certain version of the command line interface that goes together with the Webpack version? But I couldn't find anything on internet. So it's a little bit messy, that whole thing.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. And yeah, the Webpack 4 to 5 change. Yeah, that's changed things that I haven't yet recovered. I haven't rebuilt my process on top of Webpack 5. In fact, I probably will take that on as I do the Webpack steps. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Because what I read is that they left out some polyfills which you need when you use it in the web browser. But I'm not completely sure which polyfills that are. Is that note functionality that is not available in the web browser?
I believe that is the case, yes. Which I don't think that I need for Jinaga and for React applications. So actually, yeah, when I read that's what they took out, I was like, well, I didn't know that was even in there. Am I accidentally using a feature of Node that should not be available to me in the browser? So yeah, that's going to be part of the learning.
Because apparently by leaving it out, it will the bundle.js file will be a lot smaller. So Jinaga will load faster in the web, in the browser.
Yeah, but net positive. And if I do have an accidental dependency, I want to know about it. So also a net positive that it no longer automatically adds them.
But you spoke about this about Require. So Require is linked to CommonJS.
Yes, yeah. Require.js was the, I believe, the first module loader for the
it was
for the common. I'm sorry, not for CommonJS. CommonJS is the format that that Node uses, or did, way back when it started. AMD, asynchronous module definition, I think is what that stands for. AMD is what Require.js uses, and I think actually defined. I think AMD, the module definition style, and the project came hand in hand, started together. And so when you use Webpack, as the Janaga build system does, in order to package a JavaScript file, you can't just put a script tag source, grab that file, because the first thing that file does is it calls a function called define, and so when you do that, it'll say define is not a function, and so you have to load a you first have a script tag that gets you to your module loader. So in the case of Require.js, you just script source equal Require.js, and then in that script tag you also have another data dash tag, data dash main in this case, that that tells Require.js what script to load, and so it sets up all the context, loads that script, and then within that script you've got your defined, you've got a function, and now you can call require in order to get your dependencies. So it's it's basically doing all of the dependency assembly within the browser, whereas
but
if you've got Webpack, you're doing that all at build time.
But actually, why not go to the JavaScript module system? So the ECMAScript modules, which is ES6. Because if we do that, then you don't Node from version 10 or 12 onwards seems to support the JavaScript modules.
Yeah. At the time that I was last looking at it, browser support for JavaScript modules was still not quite to the level that I wanted it to be. I think that might have improved now, and so we can probably say, okay, unless you're talking about Internet Explorer, then they support JavaScript modules. I think that might be the case now, and so then that's just a matter of going back through the Janaga build system and having it build modules instead of
Michael,
AMD.
But is that a problem that it's not supported by the web browsers? Because that's what Webpack is doing for us.
So in the case of the Janaga build, Webpack is building that as an AMD module, which then Webpack itself can consume when you're building the application, or Require.js can consume. So
we would in TypeScript be programming everything using JavaScript module system, and then everything on the server in Node will automatically, because in Node we don't have to bundle it,
right,
will automatically use that JavaScript modules. And Node can understand the latest version of JavaScript, so the TypeScript compiler can just compile to a recent version of JavaScript. And for the browser, Webpack will call the TypeScript compiler, which will go to an ES5 version, and Webpack can use the JavaScript modules to bundle it, and it's that bundle that will be used by the browser. So it should be a problem, I think.
So all of that I believe is correct. The problem that I was trying to solve for was the people that don't want to use Webpack. So it's like, okay, if you don't want to use Webpack, and I'm not taking the time out right now to recompile my application to do something else, or my package to do something else. So yeah, if you don't want to use Webpack, here's here's how you would load it using a different module loader. Yeah, I didn't want to just make a whole bunch of important decisions for the consumer of the library. So so in the in the case of Webpack, there's actually some alternatives now that people are experimenting with. I want them to have the information that they need in order to use that alternative. So if they know, I'm using, it's not called Pact, is it? Something like that. There's another one that's younger than Webpack, but does about the same thing. And so if they know that they want to use that, then okay, I don't need to give them instructions. They've already made that choice. They've had that assumption for them. But they do need to understand that the Janaga package comes with two bundles. One is for the client and another one's for the server. And the client is an AMD bundle and the server is a CommonJS bundle. So give them that information and then let them go. And then for the people who don't understand what to do with that information, then I have to say, okay, well, CommonJS, you can load it with Require.js if you want to, but I recommend Webpack, and here's how you would do it in Webpack. So yeah, with all that, if I were to change the Janaga package to be JavaScript modules rather than AMD and CommonJS, then it would still somebody would still consume it using Webpack. They wouldn't have the Require.js option anymore, so I'm not sure what alternative they would have to Webpack unless it was something more modern than Webpack. But if they want to do things just that's kind of the complaint that I'm hearing, and actually we're participating in it ourselves. Is can't I just focus on the thing that I'm trying to focus on? Why do I have to learn all this stuff? And so it's like, okay, here's Janaga, but you have to learn Webpack. So I'm trying to not force you to have to learn Webpack.
And if it is something that is relatively stable, then okay, you learn it one time and you revision it from time to time, not to forget it.
Yeah.
But if it keeps moving in a fast rate, but
as I fear that it will.
But actually, the people who are really in this JavaScript environment, do they have a lot of problems? Do you have any link with them when they want to use Janaga?
What I'm seeing is basically that if so first of all, the JavaScript ecosystem has this this steep learning curve problem, and so in order to just even get somebody into the JavaScript ecosystem, the solution that I see used most often is that you have an opinion for them and you just say, okay, just do this, and now you're on board and you're going. But now you're on board for just one thing. Like, for example, you want to get started building Angular applications. Okay, here's the Angular CLI. It's going to set up a project for you. Don't worry about all the details of how it's going to set up TypeScript and Webpack and everything else. It's just, okay, now it's working, and now you plug in here and you start writing your code and you're successful. In React, you've got the Create React app. So that does something very similar. But if you and so along comes Janaga, and it's like, well, Create React app doesn't work because that creates an application that only serves a front end. It doesn't have a back end API. And in fact, if you read the documentation for it, it says this is great for learning React, but this is not the way you want to build your applications. And say, well, I agree, and I don't want to say, okay, let's get started with create React app, and then now we've got this other thing that we need to fill in, and so we go and do a bunch more work there. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna just teach you how to serve up a web application from Express, and we'll get the whole thing wired up. And I don't want to replace that and say, well, here's a Janaga command line tool that sets up your project for you. The closest that outcome is the starter kits.
The starter kits.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically a huge problem that I see with the JavaScript ecosystem as a whole. And the unfortunate thing is that because I think that there's some huge potential there for progressive web apps and for Janaga to serve that community. That's where the first version, Janaga.js sits, and so that means that you have to come up that learning curve in order to get started with Janaga. So yeah, here we are documenting the the entire tool chain and ecosystem in order to just say, and now you can create a fact, and see, wasn't that easy? You can just create a fact. Oh, no, look at all this stuff I had to do.
Yeah, you need. I have the impression that you have to know a lot more than before with correspondence, for example.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I remember correspondence. You had what was the name of it? The package that you used for the dependencies.
Yeah, so I used update controls for.
Update controls.
Yeah.
And that there was the Rover mobile toolkit. Then.
Yeah. So
perhaps it was easier because it was an environment that I was more familiar with.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
In the Visual Studio ecosystem, you're used to file new project, and then that project brings along with it a whole bunch of opinions, and then you get started from there. So I guess file new project is very similar to the ng command line or the create React app command line.
Actually, yes, it does set up the whole environment for you. Okay, we are back. Yeah. No, anyway, I continue to go through it. But I'm just wondering, to get more people on board.
Yeah.
How can we make it easier?
Yeah. Hopefully this this steps thing will make it easier to onboard people. I mean, it does kind of obfuscate the differentiation of Janaga, because okay, here are all these steps, and then finally, okay, this is the one where you're starting to create a fact. And it also makes it harder for people to to just get in and try it. So like I've got the the try it in your browser that loads the Monaco editor with Janaga already loaded, and you can start creating things there. So that's what I was trying to solve with that. So I think that there are ways to improve that experience a bit, but yeah, ultimately I think the thing that would get people to really come on board with it is to make the Janaga experience just like Excel. That's really what I'm going for. You should be able to, like with Excel, I've got an idea of things that I want to track. So you just open up Excel and you start making a list. You just start making rows and columns, and all of a sudden you're tracking data. So if there could be an experience like that, I just open up some kind of a tool, and then I start describing facts, and then creating instances of them. I think that could.
Yeah, but that's always the model building.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, like you said on your website, try it yourself, is actually working quite nice. You can really create the model. We could have something like the factual compiler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the next step.
All these things, also the testing environment.
Mm-hmm.
Just by writing tests, you can make a very nice model. But then the step to real application.
Yeah.
Because even with the starter kits, okay, you can just install the starter kit, but you still have to know Visual Studio Code.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know your way around, otherwise a little problem and you're stuck.
Yeah, that is true. Kind of the ultimate vision that I see for that is that so you've got that experience where you're writing the factual modeling language in order to describe the facts, and then when you create instances of them, a literal Excel experience of just typing in rows with columns doesn't quite work once you get beyond the top level fact, because now you have to have predecessors, and how do you do pointers to things inside of a row in Excel? Doesn't quite work. Mm-hmm. So actually populating the data, I'm envisioning the old form generation idea. So here's your description of a fact. It's got these fields. Okay, I can create a form that has these inputs, and now when those fields are predecessors, the inputs are ways that you can select. So here's a list of. So I run a query to populate a list with some facts, and somehow I maybe run them through a projection in order to turn a fact into a string that describes it. So I want to invite somebody to be to collaborate with me on my blog. So here's the blog fact created by me. Okay, that's a simple top level fact. But then invitation, here's a drop down list of just people's names, and those names are projections of facts that were the results of a query. So you're building these components in Factual to say, well, this is how I can query for users. Okay, and this is how now I can project those facts into name strings, and it builds a pipeline behind the scenes. And now, okay, take that and so you somehow tell the system that when you want to collect an invitation fact, this is how you populate that dropdown. So that's basically an iterative way of going from model into a generated user interface, and then now I'm thinking back to light switch days, if you remember that tool. It was supposed to have an escape hatch where it's like, okay, once you've gotten so far, turn this knob, and now you've got a Visual Studio project, and you can move forward from there. So.
But it was cancelled quite fast by Microsoft.
Yeah.
I think it was a very good idea, but it didn't live that long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the naive part of my brain is saying, well, the reason that it was canceled was because it was based on a flawed distributed systems model, and so this one is based on an immutable architecture, and so this one will work. Kind of thinking about Access. Access is much more successful than Light Switch.
Yeah,
People
actually,
still
yes.
using it.
Yeah.
But it is
Access
designed for single use. It's not really designed for distributed use. It can be used in a distributed way, but it doesn't really perform that way that well.
Yeah, but if you look DBase, FoxPro afterwards, and then Access, the three of them are a little bit one comes from another, but they were all very successful. And it's all a little bit a rapid development environment. with a kind of VBA behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a scripting language, but it might be.
Yeah. So I think there's something there. It's going to take a long time to kind of feel that out to make that work. But yeah, ultimately that's kind of the dream of how do I get the same sort of person like my boss is really good with Excel. So and he'll even tell you he used to be a developer. And that's kind of, he's still kind of is. He can open up a C# file just fine. But yeah, he spent most of his time working in Excel, creating these fantastic data collection sheets with KPIs and dashboards and just things that we're using to run the business to make important decisions. And he just whipping these things out, and so I want somebody with that kind of skill set to be able to take this Janaga tool and just be able to apply their skills, their analysis of a problem, and then being able to turn that into user interface. So where he'll turn that into a dashboard, somebody should be able to turn that into not just the projection of the data, but also the collection of the data.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ultimately what'll make it work.
Anyway, I will continue to make these diagrams so that perhaps we can incorporate them in the documentation.
Yeah, I think that'll be helpful. That'll really help with. To begin with, we can put those diagrams into plans and just kind of describe. These are the steps to go through when you do this plan, and then maybe we can come up with a good user experience around that, of having the plan always visible off to the side while you're going through the steps. Because this is it, written in Gatsby. We've got the full power of React available to us. We can do that.
Yeah, because I was looking to these diagrams and I thought, can I make it easily in Graphits?
Mm-hmm.
But I say let's try this one. Actually, that's based on GraphML, which is also, it's an XML based graphic language. But I didn't look very, very hard, but I didn't find any plugin for example, this Markdown language, so that we could integrate it. But anyway, from this program, it's a free program. It's not open source, but you can export to a lot of formats, like SVG, PNG, and so on. So, and it's much easier to make rapid changes. You have pieces that can collapse and so on. So I'm just playing a little bit with it to see how I can use it for myself to have a better understanding, and perhaps it will be helpful for the documentation as well.
Yep, I think so.
Let's see. But so I'm that first groundhog. I'm almost 100% through it again, and I start really understanding it. But then I saw that your GitHub is completely different.
Yeah, I've moved on to a different opinion about how to use the tool chain.
But I would like to go through that also to understand how and why. But perhaps I will leave that for later and continue with the Groundhog 2. 2 is about React, I think. I did that one before, but I forgot it. And then 3, 4, 5 about authenticating and
that's
use
where
of passport.
That's where it gets bogged down.
The 3 I remember with Twitter, with what was it?
Let's try Twitter.
Then you
Let's
went
try
to
Google.
Gmail, and then Yeah. Yeah, but
Ooh, this
there
one
is
looks hard. Let's go to the other one again.
yeah, there is only one way to find out. That's try
Mm-hmm.
it and fail and try again, and yeah.
Yep.
But it's the only way to learn things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm going to continue down the path of getting an example application ready for JavaScript and Friends, and documenting my journey toward that path, so that we've got the documentation of the steps and we've got the example to show to folks. I have proposed that same talk, but now as a 2-hour workshop. I proposed that to NDC Oslo, which are meeting in person again. So they're going to be at the Spectrum in Oslo in December. So hopefully I can get back to Oslo.
Yeah, Europe is opening up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we are still not allowed to go out after 7 in the evening.
Mm.
Between 6 in the morning and 7 in the evening, you can go out, but at night you have to be inside. But hopefully they will leave that restriction away from, I think, from next week onwards.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's coming to an end.
Friday we will know. No, if there is anything you want me to test or review about that, just let me know. Or
Very good.
try the steps or see whether there is anything that is difficult to reproduce. It can only help me to learn it.
Yep. So as of last night, so I guess about 12, no more than that, 18 hours ago, the steps are now broken down into different subfolders. So I've got installation steps and testing steps and client side and server side steps. So that I don't think that any of the content is anything that you hadn't seen before, just in different places. But yeah, if you take a look at the way that it's organized, well, except for maybe the require.js stuff. That part is brand new content. But I was just doing that to say, okay, let's get that out of the way, and then I can focus on Webpack and go down this route. But yeah,
that's not in your GitHub, public GitHub, I think, for the moment.
Yeah, I've been committing it to my Janaga_com GitHub, and then Netlify picks that up and builds it and deploys it. I have noticed that it does very aggressive caching, so you have to refresh the browser in order to see the changes sometimes. So I want to go through my Gatsby configuration and say, don't cache quite so much. Show people the fresh stuff.
But then, because the jinaga.com, that's the website.
Yes, yeah. I'm go ahead. I'm publishing these steps right out to the website. Publishing them live.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I have a look at it also. We will try. Okay. Still have a lot of things to do.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, and one of these days we will get back to .NET.
No, but anyway, the Jinaga.js is there. So even if one day you say you want to convert everything to .NET, well, to help to convert, I will have to understand the JavaScript part. So I think it helps me to learn all these new things. So okay, it's a lot of time, a lot of energy, but it's not wasted.
Yep.
It's only a pity that it takes so long to get to the core of the thing, which is Jinaga.
Yeah. Even the effort that we spent learning FoxPro is not wasted.
Yeah, but that's a long time ago. Yeah, FoxPro. Yeah, that was a very, very long time ago. on an old Schneider computer, and what was it? 8086 or 86? I don't remember. Well, no, his first.
Yeah, I was doing Foxborough on a PS2, and no, not a PlayStation. The original PS2, yes.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Oh. My first computer, I had an Apple computer once, an Apple II Plus, but it was a clone that my father bought for me, with a little green monitor. That were and with a printer that made so much noise that everybody could hear it.
Yeah.
A matrix printer.
Yeah.
But it's amazing with Multiplan instead of Excel. Multiplan was also a spreadsheet.
Yeah, was that the one where you pushed the space bar and it went from vertical to horizontal because you only had 2 cursor keys, and so you push the space bar and then you cursor up and down and then press space again, like you go left and right.
Oh. I don't remember. I do remember that I used it quite a lot because I had to do some administration for my father at the time. And I really had to do a real spreadsheet with calculations. So it really worked well. Because before you had to calculate everything by hand, and that was days and days of work.
Yeah.
And with a spreadsheet, every month ago, it went automatically. So it was really a very good thing. But yeah. Good. Right. We are making progress.
Yes, indeed.
Michael, see you next week.
Indeed, yes. And hopefully Sergey can join us next week.
If there is anything you want me to review or whatever, just
I'll post into Discord my progress on what I'm doing with the documentation there, and so
if it is something that you want me to have a look at, send me an email, because Discord, I get an email if there is a notification, but sometimes with 2 days delay.
Okay, yeah.
If it is something in general, post it on Discord. But if it is something that you want me to review, an email is faster.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay.
All right. See you.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.